I'm Ingrid Verhamme, and I am currently Research Associate Professor at Vanderbilt University Medical Center. I have studied coagulation since 1988. I went to the Red Cross in Detroit with Dr. Craig Jackson, and that was my postdoc stint, and that's where I got to meet Paul. So on October 11th, 2019, our community lost a respected colleague and a dear friend. Paul got his PhD in biochemistry with Carl Frieden at Washington University, St. Louis, and he worked as a postdoc with John Holbrook in Bristol, and then with Joe Shore at Henry Ford Hospital in Detroit. He received NIH funding and worked as a research scientist with Craig Jackson at the Red Cross, also in Detroit. So that's where we met. And it was there that he developed a new fluorescence technique to measure binding to coagulation proteinases uncoupled from their proteolytic activity. This was a breakthrough that allowed separating binding and kinetic steps. And some of these reagents are now commercially available for mechanism studies. Paul's first major interest was the mechanism of prothrombin activation. In 1991, he joined the faculty at Vanderbilt, where he developed a successful research team. He also became heavily involved in mentoring and teaching. He co-directed the vascular biology training program that was instrumental in launching the careers of many grad students, both in academia and in biotech. During his time at Vanderbilt, he trained some 20 PhD students and postdocs. He and his colleague, Richard Hoover, also organized a graduate course, Scientific Communication, so the grad students could learn how to write papers and grant applications, present posters and oral communications, and also get a taste of manuscript and grant reviewing. I joined them as a course preceptor when I came to Vanderbilt in 1999, so I followed Paul around a little bit, and this helped me sharpen my reviewer skills in real life. Later, Paul became interested in staphylocoagulase and streptokinase. Those are two bacterial virulence factors that respectively activate prothrombin and plasminogen. In this unusual mechanism, the virulence factor binds tightly to the zymogen to activate it, instead of using the classical mechanism of proteolytic cleavage for activation. Our group collaborated with Wolfram Bode and Robert Huber at the Max Planck Institute in Martinsried, Germany. And this resulted in a crystal structure that clearly illustrated this type of conformational activation. Paul would teach his trainees the fundamentals of rigorous analysis and integrity in the same way he had received his training. He always said, the data are what they are. It is critical to figure out what is real and what is artifact. So repeat your experiment with multiple protein preps, have a lab mate check your calculations, and if in doubt, ask. There are no dumb questions, but don't bug me until I have my morning coffee and cigarette. In Paul's lab, we purified most of the plasma proteins ourselves, and experienced lab members always teamed up with the juniors. For some, it was a bit of a baptism by fire, but an excellent way to learn the unexpected challenges of column chromatography, protein and clotting assays, and gel electrophoresis. A lot of us learned to deal on the spot with unexpected complications real fast, and Paul would often be at our side. Paul also had an artistic side that was greatly encouraged by his wife, Sue Mulcahy. She's an art professor and an artist in her own right. Our circle of friends shared a common love of arts and music, in particular Frank Zappa. We loved Paul's sardonic sense of humor, but also his willingness to speak up for fair treatment of students, colleagues, and grant applicants. Many ISTH meeting regulars will remember his irreverent side, but also his genuine kindness. His colleagues and friends, Steve Olson and Dudley Strickland, wrote a beautiful obituary that was published in the Journal of Thrombosis and Hemostasis, January 2020. I encourage all of you to take a look. Rest in power, Paul. We will remember you and your work.